You ever feel like your bank account is gaslighting you? You're making more money than you ever have, but somehow your savings still look like a sad little loading bar stuck on 3%. If that's you, you're not alone. In fact, you might just be stuck believing one of the most dangerous money lies of our generation. Because earning more doesn't mean owning more. Today, we're unpacking why that is, and it starts with this clip.
Can somebody explain why I'm making more money but I'm still broke? I done sat down, I did the budget and the bills, and the math still ain't mathing. I'm eating the same food, I'm living in the same house, I'm driving the same car, and I still ain't got no extra money. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Oof, that's not just relatable, that's suspiciously accurate. And you know what? I don't think she's lying. Sometimes you really don't upgrade your lifestyle. You just end up leaking money into invisible black holes, late night cravings, stress shopping, random digital subscriptions, helping family, that one friend who never pays you back. And by the time you notice, your bank account is begging for oxygen. Morgan Housel breaks this down in The Psychology of Money. He says, wealth is what you don't see. In other words, just because you're not blowing money on a Benz or designer bags doesn't mean your money isn't disappearing. Why? Because real wealth isn't built by what you earn, it's built by what you keep. And if your habits haven't changed, your bank balance won't either. So if you're asking, why am I still broke even though I'm making more? Buckle up, because this video is the financial intervention you didn't know you needed. See, that baby gets it. Give us money and the tears magically vanish, right? Except in the real world, most of us get the money and somehow we're still crying. But now we're crying in a nicer apartment with afterpay bills and oat milk subscriptions. That clip, pure comedy, but also a little too real. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. More money doesn't always mean more breathing room. Sometimes it just means more pressure to perform, more temptation to spend, and more silent judgment from your bank account.
I don't need to save money. I need to just make more money. I have successfully gone an entire month without buying any new clothes, shoes, jewelry, nothing. Now, I did kind of cheat a little bit because I had stored credits, but that's like money that's being held hostage that I need to spend anyway. I realized like this did not lead to a better quality of living. I don't feel better because I didn't buy this stuff. In fact, I really still want this stuff. Stuff brings me happiness. And like, listen, everyone has their thing. For some guys, it's their shoes and all these like shoes that they get off like the Nike app or the PS whatever. Like everyone has the thing that brings them happiness. And for me, it's like fashion and I just love it. I'm glad I know now. Child, I don't need to be saving money. I don't need to be spending less. I need to figure out how I'm gonna make more money so I can just afford the life I want because that life makes me happier than I am now.
Let's talk about one of the biggest myths we've all been sold. If I just make more money, all my problems will disappear. Cute, but also completely false. See, the psychology of money tells us that wealth isn't about how big your income is. It's about your relationship with money. And most people, they don't have a relationship. They have a situationship. You check your balance, hoping it'll magically look better. You tell yourself, I'll start saving after this next raise. Then you get the raise, and boom, here comes the Uber Eats, the new gym membership you'll never use, and your third digital planner app this month. Suddenly, you've got more money, but the same anxiety. Here's the kicker. If you don't know how to manage a $500 paycheck, you're going to mismanage a $5,000 one with way more consequences. Money doesn't change your habits. It amplifies them. So if you're still broke when you're making more, that's not a bank problem. That's a behavior problem. And no, I'm not saying don't treat yourself. I'm saying treat yourself with sense. So if money doesn't fix the problem, then what does? Well, maybe it's not about the money at all. Maybe it's about you, your habits, your fears, and the stuff you picked up without even realizing it.
Today I'm going to teach you why your money struggle did not start with you, it was passed down. You feel like you're always behind, and no matter how much you learn, earn, save, whatever you do, you feel like you can't catch up. It's not that you're lazy, It's not a lack of effort. It's just that you are programmed and your brain is programmed to survive and not thrive financially.
Let's get uncomfortable for a second. Most of us aren't managing money. We're managing memories of how our parents talked about money. Morgan Housel said it best in The Psychology of Money. People do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. What looks like irrational behavior is often rooted in experiences they can't see. Maybe you grew up watching your parents stress over bills, or maybe your family made it look like money was always there, even when it wasn't. Either way, you absorbed the energy. And now, you might feel guilt for wanting nice things, or maybe you overspend because your inner child is just trying to feel safe and seen. That's why budgeting apps don't always work. You're trying to fight emotion with spreadsheets. You think you need another financial plan. What you might actually need is therapy. The Psychology of Money reminds us, doing well with money has a little to do with how smart you are, and a lot to do with how you behave. And behavior is emotional. So no, you're not dumb for struggling. You're just carrying emotional baggage, and your wallet's feeling it.
Saving all the money that you make is one of the stupidest things that you can do when you're young. When you save all your money, you're kind of putting the message out there that you don't have enough of it. Whether you're spiritual or not, putting that scared message out there kind of makes you less money in the end. When I started making a lot of money, or what I deem a lot of money, I used to save every single dollar. Like, I was so scared I would never make money again.
Okay, pause. I hear her. A lot of us grew up with a fear-based mindset around money, holding on to every dollar like it might vanish, because for a while, that's exactly what it felt like. And honestly, that kind of scarcity thinking is exhausting. So I get why spending now feels like a kind of freedom.
Then I started spending more, and especially spending on experiences or investing into myself. Because of that, I've actually made more money. I'm not even lying. And now when I spend a lot of money, I never feel bad. I honestly feel powerful.
But here's the thing, and The Psychology of Money makes this point beautifully. Just because you're no longer afraid of money doesn't mean you have to let it fly out the door. Building wealth isn't about hoarding or splurging, it's about being intentional. And the idea that spending brings more money, that can be true if you're investing in things that actually give a return, like skills, experiences, or tools that help you earn more, not just brunch and new shoes.
Because I know it will come back to me. That's what's called an abundance mindset. More money will come to you when you're operating mentally in a way that you're living in abundance. Promise these little mindset shifts actually change things for you.
So no shame in spending, especially if you're breaking free from fear, but let's not confuse emotional release with financial strategy. Because peace of mind, that's the real flex. Now let's talk about why actual financial freedom isn't sexy, but it's still worth it. Here's something that never trends on TikTok. Financial freedom is boring. It's not popping bottles or booking spontaneous trips to Bali. It's logging into your budget app, saying no to that 12th subscription, telling your future self, hey, I got you. Why doesn't that go viral? Because real wealth is quiet, invisible even. It's driving a reliable used car when you could have financed a luxury one just to keep your peace. Like Morgan Housel said in The Psychology of Money, wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not purchased, the clothes not bought, the first-class upgrade declined. Translation? Just because you don't look rich doesn't mean you're not building something powerful. And that's what messes with people, because in a world that rewards looking successful over actually being secure, discipline can feel like punishment. But the truth is that boring choice you made today, it could be the reason you have options 10 years from now. But here's the kicker. Even with all the logic, advice, and psychology, we're still human. And sometimes the money lies we believe feel better than the truth. Let's close this out with one final myth that might be costing you more than you think.
You know you're about to make a terrible financial decision when you start saying things like, yes, I work hard. I need to start spoiling myself, man.
Let's end with one of the most expensive lies we tell ourselves. I work hard, I deserve this. It usually shows up right after payday. You know, when your fingers are scrolling Amazon, your brain's doing mental gymnastics, and your cart has grown mysteriously large. Don't worry, I'm not judging. Been there. But let's keep it real. Just because you deserve something doesn't mean your bank account agrees. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel says, saving money is the gap between your ego and your income. And that one stings. Because most of us don't have an income problem. We have an expectation problem. We expect our lifestyle to match our effort. We expect rewards to be instant. And when they're not, we swipe anyway because we earned it, right? But here's the twist. Real financial power comes from self-control, not self-reward. And sometimes the best way to treat yourself is by not setting yourself back. Remember this. Getting rich is one thing. Staying rich? That's behavior. And the biggest flex in a world obsessed with spending is self-control. Because the psychology of money doesn't just teach us how to earn more. It teaches us how to think better. And if you can do that, if you can spot the lie, challenge the impulse, and play the long game, you won't just survive your 20s or 30s. You'll own them. Because in the end, wealth isn't about what you post. It's about what you quietly protect.